What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for Ladies Who List, season 1, episode 5. So, is it me or is it like this season taking a long time? I just feel like it's me. Anyway, so we opened up. We are still at the party for Tiffany's grand opening of her law office, her new law space, and we have Robin. I'm so sorry, y'all. We have Robin meeting up with Kiera, and Robin says, "Look, I'm gonna take the high road because I have children her age, and I ain't about to sit here and argue with this child." She said, "I talked to some other people, and they explained to me, just how bad or how impactful it could be when you unfollow somebody on social media." She said, "I didn't realize it was that big of a deal, and so for that, I'm asking for your forgiveness." She said, "I ain't about to sit here and say I'm sorry because, apologies come a dime a dozen, but I am going to ask for your forgiveness and say I did not, it wasn't meant to hurt you." So Kiera starts talking about how she's a woman of God and her God teaches, forgiveness and understanding. And Robin, girl, if you had just let her give her speech and been done with it, I just feel like we could have moved on. But Robin was like, "You wasn't being real forgiveful that night. You wasn't being all peaceful that night." And I was like, here we go. So then, of course, now we had to get back into the argument about who said what, who said it first, how it hurt me. You called me an old bitch. Well, I didn't say that first. First, you said this. So then we started getting into the whole back and forth. And I was like, Robin, all you had to do was let that girl give her soliloquy. And we'd have been done. We'd have moved on. But now we gotta sit through this whole situation again, and for them to rehash what happened that night, and for Kyra to say what you said to her that bothered her, and for Robin to sit there and be like, "Girl." And when it was all over said and done, I don't think we were any further along than when we had started off. Like, girl, she unfollowed you on social media. She did not kill your mama. Like, girl, like. So then we see Tayana. She is showing a home. He's a former NFL player, Super Bowl winner. And the house is designed by her client. She's an architect, black woman architect, and she's also an interior decorator. And the house is beautiful. Okay, the house is absolutely beautiful. Okay, it's got a nice space. I was appreciative of it. And she gave it a good sale. She said it's been on the market for 30 days. So, once once property is on the market for that long, then people start getting a little antsy and people start wanting to know, well, what's wrong with this property? What might be wrong with this property? And so, she gave it a good push, try to get him to lock in. And he said he needed to think about it, when he get back to her. And so he ended up calling her back a few days later. He told her, "Listen, I'm not ready to offer let's say it was 2.2. I could offer 1.7. And Kiana was like, no, the house was on the market for 2.7, and he was going to offer like 1.8, 1.9. And Tayana was like, yeah, that's not going to work. She said, we're too far away from what she wants to put on the market and what you want. She said, but I tell you what, I will definitely be on the lookout for some properties that'll work for you in your price point. And he said, yeah, let me know if she got something else. He said, it's not, it's not the house. It's just basically what he was saying was the house is beautiful. It's outside of what I'm willing to pay for a house right now. Like, that's just not where I am right now, where, what I want to spend on a house. And I can respect that he knew what his boundary was and he stayed in it. You know what I'm saying? That he didn't just ball out because maybe he could. Because let's be clear, if you could afford to spend 1.8 million on a house, you can afford to, you can afford a little bit more. But he was like, this is where I am right now. So then she said, even though that offer is not going to work for us, I do need to talk to my client because it has been on the market for over 40 days at this point, and it's time for us to make some decisions. We ain't saying we're going to drop it that much, but we do need to maybe make some price adjustments. So she calls Kiana, and Kiana says she's willing to go down 100,000. She said, "Okay, well, we're not going to do 100,000. We'll do 50,000. We don't want them to think it's a fire sale, but we do want them to know, people out there to know we acknowledge." She said, "The market is changing, the season is changing, and so it's time for them to maybe take some other things into consideration." And so she agrees to do that. So that was cool. That was cool. So then we saw Crystal meeting up with Kiera. And, they said the last time they met up, it was business because Crystal was basically trying to poach Kiera's business. But this time they want to talk a little bit, be a little more personable. So they get to talking, both of them just got out of long-term relationships. And so they got to talking about, their relationship situation, status, whatever. And, girl, Crystal starts talking about some dude she knew since middle school. They dated a little bit in college, and they've sort of reconnected. And he wants her to get into a poly relationship, and he wants to invite her to a poly party. Now, listen, Crystal, I hate to be the one to tell you, girl, but what you was describing wasn't necessarily a poly situation. No, I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was, but it sounded like it was a little bit more to this poly situation. And you want to go to a poly party. Listen, I have friends who are in the alternative lifestyle, and that sounds like a little bit more than just poly. Because I know people who are in poly relationships, right? All poly relationships are not free for all sex. Like, it's not. That's not what it's necessarily about. But she asked Kiera would she be interested in going to a poly party. And Kiera was like, see the way my God is set up, that's not, no. And Crystal was like, well, just to think about it, just a party, not like a commitment to anything. And so Kiera was like, well, you have to figure out how much you like this guy. Like, do you like him enough to get into something like that? Like, you got to make that decision. So Crystal was like, well, I do. I think I'm open to it. I don't know. She said, I like him enough to go to the party. I don't know if I like him enough to commit to a relationship. I said, oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm all right then, girl. So we meet up with Kiana. We find out that, Kiana, we see her meeting with her team, which I peeped that it's a team full of melanated women. Go ahead, Miss Kiana. And she said that her brokerage firm has closed over $50 million in properties, and her company has only been open for a year. I said, you better go, girl. And so she said that, they're going to celebrate by having a party. They're going to have a nice end of the year party at the Waldorf Astoria, honey. And it's going to be a nice celebration. And so she's telling her ladies, you better dress to impress. And this is what we are going to be doing, honey. And I said, okay, Kiana, I'm here for it. But then we saw Kiana and her husband meeting down to the fertility clinic because they're ready to have a baby. Now, what we find out is that her husband has a child, but Kiana does not. She's been pregnant before, but she terminated that pregnancy. And she's been having a really hard time conceiving. They started IVF last year, but it's not going very well, And we've had this conversation before down here many, many times. I keep telling y'all, people act like having a child is simple. That a woman and a man, they do what a woman and a man does. The egg finds the sperm, it fertilizes, and 9 months later you have a nice, healthy baby, and there's no drama in between. And that is just so far from the reality of what really happens with a woman's body and creating a child, especially the older you get. And that's what the doctor was letting Kiana know. Like, listen, the older you get, the harder it is for you to take a baby to term. And so she said, you guys, we're going to get everybody tested, see if they fertile, if the man fertile, if the woman fertile, but I need y'all to be open to understanding that you might have to use a different egg, you might have to use some different sperm, and Kiana said at this point in where she is, she's ready to start her family, and, they're okay with that. Now, she said, now, a year ago, they weren't trying to hear none of that. But where they are now, they absolutely are ready for that possibility, and they're prepared for it. Now, Crystal is talking to her daddy, okay? Found out that daddy got properties with S's on it, and that all his properties are paid off, baby. He don't have no He don't have no money owed on his properties. Okay, no mortgages. But I told y'all from the first episode the way Crystal described how she grew up. We knew she grew up with a little, little scratch, right? And so she proceeds to tell her dad about the situation down to the party and what happened with Robin. And her dad did what a dad's supposed to do. He said, "Listen, it sounded like you did the best you could with what you had. You didn't sound like you went into that situation with any sort of ill intent with your friend. And all you could do is all you can do." And at this point, I don't know what else you want to hear, Crystal, because I feel like you done told 3-4 different people the same story, and 3-4 different people that gave you the same answer. Listen, you gotta make a decision about if your relationship with Robin is worth what you feel like you're going through in this relationship with Robin. Now, I can't say whether it is or not. Nobody else can either. But at the end of the day, you and Robin are friends for a reason. Y'all been friends all these years, and all of a sudden now y'all butting heads. Maybe it's a deeper conversation. I don't know. But anyway, so we finally get to the part. No. Robin. We see Robin meeting up with a client. Now he's trying to sell a loft down in Buckhead. She said it's been listed with another agent for a few months now. And she said, first of all, the agent had the property listed too high. She said, there's nowhere in the world that I would have started off the asking price this high. There's no comps to even justify this price point. So she said that's the first thing. So she said this is somebody she's known for a couple of years. And so he's going to give her the property because it's not selling. So we get to see this property, baby. That property was beautiful. It's in the heart of downtown Atlanta. It's a nice 2-bedroom loft. It's got an upstairs area that's big enough for a what they call it, a garden room, because it's not quite outdoors, but it's got like a garden feel to it. It's got a bathroom on that upstairs floor with a wet bar, so it's like a little entertainment area, and then there's a rooftop to it. And she said, it's basically, it's a bachelor pad. She said it's not a big market for it, but it's a niche market. She said, but I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm going to have fun trying to sell this because it is beautiful, and it is. And she told him point blank, she said, listen, the first thing I'm going to do is drop the price because I'm not going to list it that high. Come to find out, he paid like $300 and some change for it. It was a foreclosure. It was tow up. He put all that work into it. So at this point, he ain't losing nothing. If he bought it 3-4 years ago for $300,000, and he put all that work into it, even if he still, because she said that she's going to put it at like $1 million or even at $900,000, and he was like, I'm cool with it. And the fact that he said I'm cool with it as fast as he did lets me know that he about to walk away from the table with about $600,000 of a profit, maybe $500,000. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely he walking away from the table with profit. So I don't even think he tripping over her dropping the price, especially if it's going to sell. Because you can have a high price point, but if it's still sitting on the market 6 months later, it ain't do nobody no good. But I just feel like it's a win-win. But it was a beautiful, beautiful piece of property. So listen, I'm excited like I'm gonna know whatever happened to a child. I don't know who bought that stuff. So then, oh shoot. So then, let me turn my ring off. So then, we finally get to the party, child, and Kiana looks beautiful. Her husband looks gorgeous. The party looks nice. It's down, like I said, it's at the Waldorf Astoria, baby. And all the ladies look good. And basically the conversation of the night is Crystal and Robin. How you gonna act when you see Crystal? How you gonna do this? Are you gonna talk to her? Are you not gonna talk to her? And Robin was like, listen, it is what it is. I'm not gonna start no problems. I'm not gonna start no drama. Like, it ain't that kind of party. So Crystal finally shows up, and her and Robin are like back to back. And eventually Crystal turns around and Robin turns around, and they're like, hey! And Crystal was like, you think we should go talk? Robin said, sure, let's go talk. So they get to talking, and listen. Robin says, well, this conversation should have happened 21 days ago. Now, the fact that she was keeping count on how many days it had been should let you know how she felt about the situation. Crystal said, well, how was I supposed to do that if you had me blocked? Robin said, I didn't have your phone number blocked. So I feel like maybe she blocked her on social media, because we know Robin good for blocking somebody on social media, child. But for her to be specific and say, but I didn't have your phone number blocked, And the fact that Crystal didn't rebut that tells me, Crystal, you playing games with us. You'll be playing games, Crystal. So Robin was like, so Crystal said, so basically you wanted me to chase after you. And Robin was like, ain't nobody saying nothing about nobody chasing nobody. And that's where it cut off because they wanted to continue the conversation to next week, child. So we'll be back next week. I'll tell y'all how that whole thing went. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Talk to y'all later. Peace.